And we are live in 5, 4, 3...
Good evening. Tonight, WBFR Playhouse of the Air and our sponsors present stories of suspense and mystery entitled Vintage Hitchcock. Each week at this hour, we invade your living room, providing your radio holds up, and bring you exciting stories of the strange and unusual. Dark and compelling yarns culled from the four corners of the world, bringing murder back into the home where it belongs. Tonight, we present a tale immortalized on film by the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock. Sabotage. There are other kinds of darkness in London besides the fog and the night. And the heart of this part of the city is darkest of all. The darkness found in the Bijou Cinema. The flickering shop lights illuminate the hustle and bustle of the city, and sometimes they go out. Something's in the air tonight, however, and the crowds of people aren't so much afraid of the dark, but are having a laugh instead. Folks joke on the underground, and the mood becomes light.
Midland Electric Light and Power Company.
Why, almost the whole city's in the dark, madam.
They're working on it right now, sir. I assure you.
Midland Electric Light and Power Company.
Lights out.
Power down.
Turbine stopped.
What's that?
Sand.
Sabotage.
What's at the back of it?
Who did it?
Karl Anton Verloc is on his way home from an errand of sorts. I should perhaps explain that home is a modest flat over a cinema he runs with his wife, an American named Winnie. And that errand, well, let's just say that when he returns home, the first thing he will do is wash the sand from his hands. And now, Sabotage. We're in front of the Verloc's Bijou Cinema now, at the box office, where a crowd of patrons demand their money back.
I know how the law stands, Mrs. Verloc. You broke a contract, therefore you broke the law.
But the blackout's everywhere. Just look up and down the street.
I pay my money to look at pictures. If I want to sit in the dark, I can do it at home.
Yeah, free of charge.
Or I can stay at home and listen to the radio.
Oh, who does that anymore?
Who would want to do that?
I think it's a blinking shame robbing the good people like that.
Ted, what are you doing here?
Just thought I'd lend a hand in your hour of need, Mrs. V.
Well, that won't be necessary. You can go back to your greengrocer's stand, Ted. I've got things under control.
Very well, but if you need me, all you got to do is whistle.
That's awfully kind of you, Ted. I'll have to remember that.
We've got to have our money back.
It's an act of providence, like an earthquake or a thunderbolt.
Or a baby.
Ted, would you kindly not interfere?
We've got to have us money back.
Step aside and let a girl get to her work, won't you? I'm sorry I'm so late, Mrs. V.
Oh, Renee, are you a sight for sore eyes?
Or nearly blind ones. I had a hell of a time eating my egg on toast in the dark. Why, I think I got half of it in my ear.
The patrons want their money back, Renee, but we can't afford it. I do wish Mr. Verloc would come.
Rotten place. Can't even see the pictures.
Listen to them, Renee. They're getting nasty.
Nasty. Well, you leave them to me, Mrs. V.
Thank you. Hand me that flashlight, Renee, would you please? I'm going to go see if Mr. Verloc has returned.
Well, don't be long.
I won't.
With the flashlight leading her on, Winnie makes her way through the dark cinema and into the living quarters she shares with her husband and her younger brother, Stevie. When she reaches her bedroom, she finds somebody's been sleeping in her bed, and he's still there. Have no fear, it's only her husband.
Karl, when did you get home?
Oh, I haven't been out.
Well, you weren't in 20 minutes ago when I called for you.
I was asleep. Why are you shining a torch on me? Can't you switch on the light or something?
We can't. It failed.
What, the fuse gone down?
No, it's everywhere. In the streets and the trains. And the audience downstairs wants their money back. They're making a terrible row about it.
Well, give it back.
What? We can't possibly afford to do that.
Yes, we can.
You must be crazy, Karl. It'll clear us right out. You're always saying we can't cover expenses.
That's all right. It doesn't pay to antagonize the public. I've got some money coming in. Go on.
Well, it's your decision. But if we're going to be generous, let's do it properly. Come out to the box office with me and make an official announcement.
Oh, no, it's not worth all that fuss. They're used to you, Winnie. You make the speech.
Well, all right. But I still think you're crazy.
It's an act of God, I tell you.
And what do you call an act of God?
Your face, for one. And you won't get your money back on that.
What do you think you're doing, Ted?
Just lending a hand, Mrs. Verloc.
I thought I asked you not to interfere.
I'll be delivering a little counter-attack. Look, they're on the run.
Well, they can come right back. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to get your money back.
Don't give in now, Mrs. Verloc. I'll stand by you.
I prefer you to go and stand by your apple stall. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking with Mr. Verloc, and since you're all regular patrons and good friends, he's going to let you have your money back.
There'll be no money back, I tell you. Go on, get off.
Don't pay any attention to him.
I tell you, you're crazy. I had it all fixed.
Will you mind your own business?
Of all the obstinate people.
If you don't go away, I'll call the police. Renee, start refunding the patrons their money.
Let there be light. And there was.
Thank you for your trouble, Ted. I'm sure you meant well.
Not at all. I like trouble, Mrs. V.
Business back to usual. Mrs. Jones, the Verloc's cook, stops by to see Winnie on her way out.
The vegetables are ready for dishing up, Mrs. Verloc. I've got to hurry home now because my husband's having trouble with his kidneys again, and I can't leave him for long. Your young brother's looking after them.
What, the kidneys?
No, the vegetables!
Good night, Mrs. Jones.
The same to you, Mrs. Verloc.
In the kitchen, Winnie's younger brother Stevie helps prepare the dinner as best he can. Alas, he is better at making a mess than a meal.
Oh no, I've done it again.
Oh, Stevie, have you done all this by yourself?
I tried.
Oh, come on, don't be so modest.
I'm sorry about the plate.
That's all right. Now, take off my apron and wash your hands for dinner.
Winnie and Stevie bring the rest of the dinner to the table where Mr. Verloc is waiting.
Well, Karl, we didn't have to pay the audience back their money after all.
Always that woman, Mrs. Jones, manages to make the cabbage brown.
I'm always telling her you like things green. I'll make you a salad. Stevie, run next door to Ted and get a nice big head of lettuce.
Long around. I like long best.
Whichever's freshest. And tell Ted to charge it to our account. We very nearly wouldn't have been able to afford lettuce if we paid the audience back. I don't see why you wanted to pay them back at all.
Anything for quiet. I don't like attention being drawn to us in such a way.
Ted, what are you doing here?
Good evening. Forgive me for butting in on your private affairs, but Stevie didn't appear to know whether you wanted long, round, square or oblong lettuce, so I brought a selection. Oh, good evening, Mr. Verloc. So you came home just in time to see the trouble, eh?
Me? I've been in since the afternoon.
But I could have sworn I saw you come in just about an hour ago.
Well, you were wrong. I didn't know anything about it until Winnie woke me. Did I, Winnie?
No. Mr. Verloc was taking a nap when I found him.
Oh, sorry. My mistake, I suppose. Well, good night, all.
Good night, Ted.
As the Verlocs begin their dinner, we follow Ted back through the cinema to the greengrocer, where he has a word with his boss.
Mind if I pop up early tonight, Gov?
Okay, Ted.
Thank you. Good night.
Ted takes the underground to Scotland Yard and goes to see Inspector Talbot, his real boss. You see, Ted is working undercover to keep an eye on Mr. Verloc. Ted fills Talbot in on his latest activities.
I'm sure I saw Verloc return after the lights had gone out, but later when I challenged him, he said he hadn't been out at all. His wife confirmed his story.
Naturally, she would if she's in it. Same as being robbed in a crowd. One man treads on your toe, and while you're arguing with him, his pal picks your pocket.
I don't think she or her little brother are mixed up in this thing.
Can you prove that?
Not yet, but it's the powers up the ladder that are our concern, aren't they? If Verloc's a puppet, who's pulling his strings?
Well, they're the people that you and I will never catch. It's the men they employ that are all we're likely to get. You keep following Verloc, and don't be so quick as to rule out his wife or her brother either. Hollingshead's at your disposal too. Let him shadow one and you the other.
Of course, sir.
The next morning, Ted is at the greengrocer when Mr. Verloc emerges from the cinema.
Good morning, Mr. Verloc. Where are you off to this fine morning?
I'm off to pick up the new film for the weekend.
Well, pick us a good one then, with plenty of intrigue, suspense and murders. This love stuff makes me sick.
The women like it, though. Good day to you, Ted.
Ted watches Mr. Verloc cross the street. Hollingshead, another Scotland Yard detective, is standing across the street. Ted gives him a signal to follow Mr. Verloc, who boards a bus without realizing he's being followed.
Come now, Stevie. We haven't all day.
Why, if it isn't Stevie and Mrs. Verloc?
Hi, Ted. How's the greengrocer?
Ripping and roaring. Always a market for greens and things, and cabbages and cheese.
Oh, Ted, did you hear what he said, sister?
Yes, Ted's a clever one, all right.
Your fruits are lunch today, Ted.
Is that all? How about a nice juicy steak with me? What about it?
Well, I'm all for it.
Good. Where should we go?
I'd like to go to Simpson's. My friend's uncle took him there once.
Mind your manners, Stevie.
Oh, don't be too hard, Mrs. V. Let's make it Simpson's. I won't take no for an answer.
Very well, Ted.
Oh, boy, Simpson's!
Simpson's it is. Off we go.
As Ted starts for Simpson's with Winnie and Stevie, Mr. Verloc's bus has reached the zoo. There, Mr. Verloc meets with Vladimir, his boss. Hollingshead follows as close as he dares.
Good morning, Vladimir.
Hello, Verloc.
I trust you were satisfied with my work last night. It was just the sort of thing to make people sit up. I think you'll agree I've earned my money. I hope you didn't mind my asking for it in pound notes.
Obviously, you have not seen today's newspapers, or you wouldn't be so proud of yourself. Look at this headline. London laughs at blackout. When one sets out to put the fear of God into people, it is not helpful to make them laugh. We are not comedians.
It's not my fault if they're such fools.
Londoners are not fools. They laughed because they realized what happened last night was laughable. They did right to laugh this time.
What do you mean?
You will be paid your money when you've earned it.
I don't follow.
My dear Verloc, I once read a sign in Piccadilly Circus calling it the centre of the world. I think you'd better pay a visit there tomorrow and leave a small parcel in the cloakroom. That's the underground station.
What sort of a parcel?
A parcel of fireworks.
Fireworks? No, I'm not interested in being connected with anything that means loss of life. You'll have to get somebody else. I won't touch it.
Very well then, Verloc. If you think you are so well off.
You know I'm not.
All right then. And if you are so fussy about doing it yourself, surely you can find somebody to do it for you.
Perhaps.
There's an address on this slip of paper. Go and see this man. He's a very nice old gentleman, and he makes lovely fireworks.
I'll try and see him.
And don't forget tomorrow. Busy day in Piccadilly Circus. Lots of people enjoying themselves. Unaware. Feeling safe and secure.
You want me to come and report?
Thank you, no. If you're successful, it will not be necessary. Tomorrow, they must not laugh.
Have you ever been here at Simpson's before, Ted?
No, never.
Oh, this is very expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
I've got a £1 note if you want it.
Oh, it's all right. Now, Stevie, setting aside the steak for a moment, we have here before us oysters, caviar, smoked salmon, fried grilled or boiled sole, roast saddle of mutton, Kentish chicken pudding, boiled silverside.
I think Stevie'd like a nice poached egg on toast, and I'll have a mixed salad.
What? Poached egg here at Simpson's? Why, that's enough to make the roast beef turn in its gravy. Waiter!
May I take your order, sir?
Sirloin for 3, please.
Very good, sir. Right away.
So when did you come over from America, Mrs. Verloc?
About a year ago. The business wasn't too good over there.
Ah, that's funny. People used to go to the States because business wasn't too good over here. How are things here now? Not too good.
Not terribly.
I hadn't noticed you turning people away. It's hard to make a one-man business pay these days unless you run a sideline. Has Mr. Verloc a sideline?
No, but we're quite satisfied with things as they are.
Just one happy little family.
Just one happy little family. Mr. Verloc's... He's very kind to Steve.
And that means a lot to Stevie's sister.
It means everything.
Here we are.
No fat for you as usual, sir. You haven't been in for a long time, but I don't forget.
Do I look like I don't like fat?
What's the big idea?
What idea?
You said you'd never been here before, but that waiter obviously knew you.
Come to think of it, there's a mystery about most people. What goes on in that cinema of yours after dark?
Ooh, deeds of darkness.
Does your husband go on mysterious journeys?
He does, wearing false whiskers.
Aha! That means there's another woman in his life.
If only you knew him.
What's the joke?
He's the quietest, most harmless person you've ever met.
I'm finished. What's for dessert?
Oh, Stevie!
Meanwhile, Mr. Verloc visits the address he was given by Vladimir, which just so happens to be that of a bird shop. Behind the counter stands the proprietor, who goes by the name of the Professor. You remember, the kind old man who makes, shall we say, fireworks. At the moment, he's getting an earful from a rather unsatisfied customer.
But I can't understand, madam. This is one of my best songbirds. It sang all day before you purchased it. Perhaps in a few days it will settle down.
Nothing will make it settle down. I've tried everything. Whistling to it, clapping my hands, frying bacon. No use. It just sits there and makes me look silly.
That is not the bird's fault, I assure you.
Isn't it?
Perhaps it is resting. Have you thought of that?
Resting my eye. I'll have my 2 and 9, please. And there's your bird back. I want a canary for company.
Very well, madam. Here you are. Do come and call upon us again.
We shall see about that. Good day.
And how may I help you, sir?
Are you the professor?
Ah, yes. You want something from my other, do you? Yes, of course. This way.
The professor leads Mr. Verloc into the back room.
Let me see what I might have for you in my cupboard.
Everything there looks pretty harmless.
You are right, my friend. But if you were to mix, say, a little tomato sauce with some strawberry jam, then, well, I shouldn't want to be any place near.
Very clever.
Thank you. Now, I gather from our mutual friends that tomorrow is the day, and the hour is 3.
But how do I start the mechanism?
You leave that to me. By the time you receive it, everything will have been set in motion. You seem a little nervous. Don't be afraid. Say to yourself, there is one man who envies you.
Envies me?
I have been a fighter always until now, but alas, I am no longer wanted in the front line. I must keep the fighters supplied. But I would rather be in your shoes. I will deliver the package to you tonight.
Very well. Good day to you.
And to you, comrade.
Following lunch with Winnie and Stevie, Ted returns to Scotland Yard to update Talbot on his progress.
Well, what luck with Mrs. Verloc?
She knows nothing, sir. Nothing at all.
What makes you think so?
She has a straight answer to everything.
But what about Mr. Verloc?
I'm not certain. But if he is mixed up in this, he's certainly not giving himself away.
Well, Hollingshead has been following him today. Verloc went to the zoo, evidently by appointment, and met a foreign individual. He then proceeded to a bird shop in Islington.
A bird shop in Islington?
Doesn't mean much to me either, but Verloc had a lengthy discussion with the proprietor. So we'll keep on this lead.
Very good, sir. And where is Verloc now?
He's returned to the cinema. You can meet Hollingshead there.
So Ted took you to Simpson's? I mean, a greengrocer can hardly afford to lunch at Simpson's, can he?
Of course, I realized he wasn't a greengrocer at all. He's really quite well off, and he's there to learn the business. It's one of a big chain, that shop. He told us he's the son of the man who owns them. How would you like a job selling fruit, Stevie?
I wouldn't mind. Wouldn't it be grand to have steak whenever you'd like it? Why, I'd have it 3 times a day.
You'd soon get sick of it.
I bet I wouldn't. I don't see how you can get sick of things to eat, except poached eggs.
What's the matter with poached eggs?
I think they're the worst things in the world. I bet Ted doesn't eat them.
I'm sure he does.
I bet he doesn't. They're beneath his dignity. He's smart too, and he knows about all sorts of things. Gangsters and burglars and all sorts of things.
How does he know?
He reads about them. He says gangsters aren't nearly as frightening as you think. Some of them are quite ordinary looking. I mean, After all, if gangsters look like gangsters, the police would get after them, wouldn't they?
Why, good evening, Mrs. Verloc.
Hello. Do I know you?
I'm a business associate of your husband.
Why, hello there. How nice of you to call.
But you must be Stevie.
That's right. What's in the bag?
It's a prize for you, Stevie.
A pair of birds. Oh, I love them. Which one's the hen?
Well, you'll just have to wait till one of them lays an egg.
Wouldn't it fool everybody if one day the gent laid an egg? Gosh, wouldn't that be funny?
Isn't that kind, Stevie? What do you say?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Now go show them around with your sister so the professor and I can have a drink.
In the bottom of the birdcage, which I have just presented to Stevie, is a trap drawer. Inside that drawer is a package already wrapped as a parcel. I've made it up to look like one of your pill containers. Something you would be seen with regularly. Stroke of genius on my part, I think.
Yes, very clever. So I take this film container to Piccadilly Circus tomorrow afternoon?
The mechanism is set. And it is ready to go off at 3 p.m. Make us all proud. And keep an eye on that greengrocer next door.
You mean Ted?
I do. The greengrocer is the cover for Detective Sgt. Ted Spencer of Scotland Yard.
What?
Oh, excuse me.
I was just leaving. Good evening. I let myself out.
That was kind of you to give Stevie the birds. He just loves them.
I was hoping that would be the case.
You're terribly good to him.
Am I not good to you?
If you're good to him, you're good to me. You know that.
Yes, I know. Now listen here. At Simpson's, when you had lunch with Ted, do you remember what he said to you? Did he ask you any questions about yourself? About me?
None that I can think of. Why?
I think he may be a detective from Scotland Yard, that's why.
What? Our Ted. Don't make me laugh.
Laugh if you'd like, but I'm taking this matter seriously. I'm going to have a word with him right now.
I've just stopped by, and he's off this afternoon.
He's got eyes for you, I've seen it. Well, now we know why. It's information he's after.
Well then, I shall have a word with him myself.
Very well. Now listen, my dear. What are you doing tomorrow afternoon?
What did you have in mind?
A package of films. I need them delivered.
Just tell me where.
Fine. I'll write it all out.
Oh, wait a moment. I'd forgotten. Renee's out in the country this weekend for her brother's wedding. And you know how busy we are at the Saturday matinees. Perhaps Stevie can make your delivery.
Well, if you think so.
He'll be happy to. I'll work it all out. As for now, I think a long bubble bath and early to bed for yours truly. It's a big day tomorrow.
It certainly is.
The next morning, Ted meets Winnie in the Bijou lobby.
Forgive me for busting in like this.
We're getting used to it, Ted. And I'm afraid we've nothing showing at this early hour.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Verloc, but I'm here on business.
Yes, the business of spying on our family.
Mrs. Verloc, there's nothing personal in all this.
Isn't there? You had us fooled all right, trying to make Stevie and me think you were our friend.
Do you think I enjoyed it? Listen, I asked to be taken off the job this morning. You can guess why. But it's not as easy as that. In my job, you have to do what you're told.
And what have you been told? If it's about the man who came here last night, he was on business about the cinema.
That's just it. You've no idea what business they discussed.
Well, whatever it is, I am sure my husband hasn't done anything wrong.
I hope you're right.
Why do you say it like that?
Because we believe there's something going on here connected with sabotage. That blackout the other night, you remember?
Well, my husband hasn't anything to do with sabotage. He told me that night he'd been in all evening.
That wasn't true. I saw him come back with my own eyes.
I don't believe it.
You're making things very difficult for me. I'm afraid I've got to ask you a lot of questions.
I've told you before, he's the most harmless person in the whole world.
Stevie, has that two-reeler gone over to the Canterbury yet?
There's plenty of time.
I was just wondering, maybe you could take it along now. There's another little job I want doing at the same time. One of the projector lenses needs repair, and the repairman can't come right over here and fetch it, so he suggested you leave it in the cloakroom at Piccadilly Circus Station, and he'll pick it up there at 2:30.
Got it. I know the place. The cloakroom at the Piccadilly Circus Station.
Very well. The time is the important thing. It must be there by 2:30, so you'd better get along now.
Well, there's no hurry.
You'll have to walk all the way.
Walk? What for?
Well, you know you can't take film tins in public vehicles.
Yes, I forgot.
You needn't tell your sister that you're going as far as Piccadilly. You know how she is, always thinking you're going to get run over.
Well, she needn't worry.
Now hurry up, you might be late. Don't forget, it's got to be there by 2:30 at the latest. Here, take my watch. I've set it ahead by 5 minutes so you won't be late.
I'm going.
That's a good boy.
Hello, Stevie. What have you got there?
I'm taking a two-reeler over to the Canterbury.
Bartholomew the Strangler. Oh, that sounds a juicy one. Have you seen it?
14 times.
Must be quite a wrench parting from it. Have you learned all of Bartholomew's tricks by now?
Well, I'm still practicing the fine points.
Well, on your way, Bartholomew.
So long.
Careful of the crossing, Stevie.
Oh, I can take care of myself, can't I?
Stevie, is Mr. Verloc in?
Yes, I just left him.
Goodbye, Stevie.
Oh, so long.
Now, if you don't mind, may I see your husband?
Right this way.
You see, Mr. Verloc, I couldn't afford to let you in on this. Now I've put my cards on the table. I've come here to ask for your help. Nothing more.
I see.
About that man who was here last night, I've been instructed to get a little information about him. We'd be very grateful if you'd help us.
Well, any help I can give, of course.
And I have some questions for you as well, Mr. Verloc. When did you first come to this country? Perhaps it would be better if you put it down on paper. Just a formality.
At 2:15, on his way to Piccadilly Circus, Stevie found himself distracted by a street salesman. There's always someone on the street ready to steal your time and money.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I want to ask you a question. What is it causes teeth to fall out?
I don't know.
It is decay. Decay is inevitable in all human organisms. But what if I was to tell you that decay can be instantaneously arrested? I have here in my hand a tube of the most remarkable preparation, Salvador. 6 pence for the small tube, and a shilling for the large tube containing 4 times as much. Now, let me give you just a little demonstration. I see here a young gentleman who I'm sure would be happy to assist me.
Me? No, I wouldn't.
Of course you would. Come on, right up here in this chair, young fellow.
But I...
All right, stay where you are. Don't get excited. I want you to observe, ladies and gentlemen, that the young gentleman's teeth are very dirty.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. Now, come on. Open your mouth. That's a good boy. Sabotage performs the function that nature forgot. It cleans the teeth, refreshes the mouth, and removes all traces of halitosis.
Hallie what?
Bad breath to you, sir.
Well, same to you.
Thank you. I don't need it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you'll observe that I've unfortunately disarranged the young gentleman's hair. But that is easily attended to with this bottle of Loswell. You put it on the hair like that, you see. It is guaranteed to give the appearance of fake leather. You are now groomed for stardom, as they say. Go on! Buzz off, you little basket! Go on! What do you want? Go on, up it!
The time is the important thing. It must be there by 2:30.
And where are you running, young man?
I have to make it to the bus across the square there, officer.
Nobody's crossing this square. Not right now.
Well, what's going on?
Well, don't you see how everybody's lined the streets so nicely? It's a parade, son.
Boy! Oh, I don't have any time for a parade.
Careful at the crossing, Stevie.
The 2:50 bus to Piccadilly is right on time.
Tickets, please.
I say, do you think that we'll get to Piccadilly Circus by 2:30?
Oh, yes. 2:30 in the morning. It's already 10 to 3. Now hold it, big boy. You can't bring those on in a public vehicle. They're films, ain't they?
Well, yes, but...
Then they're flammable. Go on. Hop off.
Well, you know you can't take film tins in public vehicles.
But I've got to get to Piccadilly. I've got Bartholomew the Strangler.
Oh, well, as it's you, Bartholomew, old fellow, you can stay. As long as you promise not to set about me or the passengers.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what time do we arrive at Piccadilly?
3 o'clock, ma'am. Not more than a few minutes. Tickets, please.
Hello, young fellow. You may sit here if you like, but mind the pooch.
Thank you. What a cute dog. What's his name?
Alfred.
Come here, Alfred.
Oh, he likes you. I can tell.
Aw, that's a good boy.
Oh, do you have the time?
Here, take my watch.
Oh, it's 2:40.
Oh, thank you, son.
I beg your pardon, but your wristwatch must have stopped.
The time is the important thing.
I can't be late.
Oh, perhaps it needs a little winding.
I have 3:05, and this pocket watch has never failed me.
It must be there by 2:30.
You're both wrong. I set my clock to the second each and every day. Why, my very job depends on it. And by my time, it will be 3 o'clock exactly in 10 seconds. 9, 8, tickets, please. 6, 5, Piccadilly is next stop. 3, 2, 1.
Well, I hope that satisfied you that I'm no threat. How about that drink now?
No, thanks. However, if you'd let me use your telephone.
By all means.
Put me through to Superintendent Talbot, please. Spencer here. Sir, what? A whole busload? No survivors? A whole busload of people have been blown up in the West End.
How awful.
I have to go.
Spencer, I'm glad you're here.
I had no idea of the extent of the damage.
I've seen many things in my day, Spencer, but this is one of the most devastating.
Have you cottoned on to any clues?
Well, there's a few curiosities that have been laid out on this table here. What's this? Bartholomew something.
Bartholomew the Strangler.
That's a film tin, isn't it?
It is.
I thought you said Verloc had not been out since this morning.
He hadn't.
Well, you best go back there and see if that's one of their films. I'm off to meet Hollingshead at the bird shop.
How many?
2, please.
Now, Renee, are you certain you haven't seen Stevie all afternoon?
I'm sorry. I haven't. How many tickets, please?
1, please.
Big bomb sensation, late extra news, big bomb sensation.
Oh, he's all right. He can take care of himself. You've got nothing to worry about. How many?
2, please.
Late extra news, big bomb sensation, big bomb sensation.
Give me a 6 pence, Renee.
Big bomb sensation.
Boy, I'll take one.
Here you go, ma'am. Late extra news, big bomb sensation.
Explosion among remains. Film tin. Bartholomew the Strangler.
Oh, look, the lady's fainted.
Oh, Mrs. V. Oh, dear. Help her up, will you?
Here you go, ma'am. Up you are.
I want Mr. Verloc. I want to see Mr. Verloc.
I didn't mean any harm to come to the boy, Winnie. I know how you feel. You'll have to pull yourself together. Do you think I fixed it so he'd be killed? No, but I tell you who did. Your Scotland Yard friend from next door, Ted. Blame him. I'd have carried the thing myself, but he was hanging around watching, spying. I couldn't get away. Would you rather have lost me? Where are you going?
Don't touch me.
I thought perhaps you'd like something to eat.
Look at the mess you've made.
I'll clean up.
No, I will.
I started chopping the salad, if you'd like.
I'll do it. Hand me that knife.
That's better. Listen, it's done now. What's done can't be undone. You go to bed after supper. And there's the future. You've got to think of tomorrow. You'll need all your wits about you if they get onto me. Perhaps, I don't know, if we had had a kid of our own. Winnie, I'm sorry for so much. A world going under, a world going like the smoke. Stevie, poor Stevie.
Steve. Poor Stevie. Poor Stevie. Stevie. Stevie.
You've heard.
Yes, Ted.
I'm terribly sorry. I don't know what to say. You know why I'm here?
Yes.
I have to arrest him.
Yes.
I'll help him if I can, of course, for your sake, if not for his. I'd do anything for you. You know that, don't you?
It's very good of you, Ted. There isn't anything you can do for either of us.
Things aren't as bad as that. The evidence is against him, I admit. But nothing's going to happen to you. I know this isn't a very good time to tell you. I shouldn't tell you at all, I suppose. But before I take him along, I want you to know what happens to you means a lot to me. I didn't want to tell you how I felt about you, but there it is.
I guess I'd better get my coat if we're going. I can't stop shivering. It's just inside.
For God's sake, what happened?
He was responsible. I'm responsible. It's all over and done with. Now we must go. Here's my coat. There, I feel warmer now. Let's go.
Go where?
To the police, of course.
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Listen to me. You can't go through with this. You're not guilty. I know it was an accident. Anyway, you only did the hangman's job for him. I know the facts, but no one else does. What chance would you stand with a judge and jury?
It doesn't matter.
You're telling me you've got nothing more to live for, is that it? Look at me. Put your arms around me.
Ted.
We're going to get out of all this.
It's no good. I don't see how.
Will anyone try and get in that room?
Mrs. Jones comes in at 8 in the morning.
Oh, you say we got no chance? We got 12 hours before anyone will find him.
Dead.
Oh, what now? Hello, Hollingshead.
Inspector Talbot is coming from the yard. That man from the bird shop, the professor, is on his way here in a taxi. We're to arrest him and Verloc on arrival.
Good work. Go see the woman in the box office. Her name is Renee, and she'll show you in.
Are you coming, Ted?
In a minute.
There's the Birdman in his taxi now.
Then you'd better hurry, hadn't you?
And Talbot right behind him.
I'll be there in a minute.
Righto, Ted.
Oh, now's our chance. You mustn't look as though you've been crying. Come along.
As Ted attempts to lead Winnie to the underground station, Hollingshead follows the professor through the cinema and to the door of the Verloc home.
Mr. Verloc! Mr. Verloc! It's the professor! Congratulations on your birth this afternoon, Mr. Verloc. You have made me and many others quite proud. Mr. Verloc, are you home?
Put your hands where I can see them.
Oh dear, Scotland Yard. You may see my hands, Caesar. And do you see what I am holding in this one? Once I let go of this button, I'm warning you, my friend, you'd better be far away.
Dear God, I've got to get the audience out of this cinema. Ladies and gentlemen, please, may I have your attention? I am Special Agent Hollingshead from Scotland Yard, and I must ask your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, I must ask you all to leave. No need to get alarmed.
Come on, we came to see a picture.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, I beg your attention. This is a most serious situation, and we must evacuate immediately. There is great danger here.
So tell us what the problem is.
Wait a minute.
There is a bomb in this theater, and this bomb is set to explode in less than 2 minutes. There is no cause for alarm, but we must evacuate this cinema as quickly and orderly as possible.
Inspector Talbot.
I've no time now, madam.
But I'm Mrs. Verloc. Ted was just taking me along to the police station. I told him I wanted to make a statement.
Oh, I see. Has the statement to do with your husband?
That's right.
Mrs. Verloc, is your husband inside that cinema?
She knows nothing, sir.
Yes. He's inside.
Inspector Talbot, the old man's got a bomb. Says he's going to use it.
Mr. Verloc?
The other man, the professor.
Mrs. Verloc, what's your husband's nerve like? Can he control the other man?
No,
He can't?
he can't control anyone. He's dead.
The roof's gone, the whole of the back of the place blown out. Most of the audience had been cleared, thank goodness, but Verloc. You know, I saw some things in the war, but
Is there enough left to identify?
I wouldn't say so, sir.
Spencer, you'd better look after Mrs. Verloc. Her husband's dead, blown to glory. You can break it to her. There'll be a few inquiries later. There's nothing against her as far as I can gather.
Yes, sir. I'm going to see her to the train station.
Yes, you do that. And thank her for all her help.
Of course. Good night.
Good night. That's queer. Is that girl psychic? I mean, she said that Verloc was dead, but did she say it before? Or was it after? I can't remember. Oh, Mrs. Verloc! Mrs. Verloc! Well, will you look at them scurrying away? Now that's what I call a lady vanishing. Undoubtedly never to be seen again in these parts, I suppose.
Inspector Talbot.
I'm coming, I'm coming.
My, that did end with a bang, didn't it? Sometimes people do repugnant things. On occasion, so must we. Speaking of which, here's a word from our sponsors.
Whatever direction you should fly, try north by northwest, with first class service high in the sky. North by northwest, destinations galore, so much fun in store, from sea to shining sea. When it's time for a up and away, fly north by northwest.
Call North by Northwest Airlines ticket office or see your travel agent today.
When it's time for a up and away, fly north by northwest.
And that concludes WBFR Playhouse of the Air's presentation of Vintage Hitchcock. But I have not yet reached the end of my rope. Soon you will hear from me again without a shadow of a doubt. Put your suspicion to rest and join us next time for what I assure you will be something rich and strange that will leave you spellbound. Tune in for another tale of intrigue. Until then, good night.